Dead Rising has so many great weapons that it can be difficult to narrow down a list of some of your favorites. This game has everything from wieldable salmon to Capcom's take on a lightsaber to help you fend off the zombie hordes, and almost every weapon is either silly enough to be fun or useful enough to be memorable in some capacity. That being said, I think that everyone has a few weapons that stand out among the crowd, and today I'm going to go over my favorites from this game. Now, keep in mind that my criteria for a great weapon isn't necessarily how powerful it is, more how much I enjoyed it, and mostly ones that I found useful while I explored the grounds of the Willamette Mall. With all that being said, let's kick this list off with right off the bat, we have a weapon that I don't think many people would place this high if they were ranking weapons from this game. However, for some reason, I really just love chucking dishes at zombies. I don't know if it's the sound effect, the fact that I never really considered their viability as a weapon in the zombie apocalypse before this game, or what, but I just love using the fine china to crack some zombie skulls. For me, this spot was a toss-up between some of the throwable, non-melee focused items that are in this game. I considered things like the CDs and the soda cans, but settled on the dishes in the end because there's just something about them that I loved. As well as the fact that I bonded with this item while I was going for the survival trophies that require you to play the Infinity mode. If you've never played the Infinity mode, basically it's just a survival mode where you try to stay alive in the mall as long as you can, and you need to find food as your health decreases over time. While I was going for the trophies associated with this mode, I spent most of my time in the food court just waiting out the clock. And in this food court, there are piles of dishes just lying around with 30 dishes to a stack, with even more dishes behind the counter. So I spent most of this mode just chucking dishes at zombies. As for the viability of dishes as a typical weapon, they are kind of really bad. They're fun to use, but if you're wanting to actually take out the zombies in an effective manner, they may not be the tool that you're looking for. Regardless, I still love using these things and fondly remember the hundreds that I threw in Infinity mode. So for that reason, dishes earn the 5th spot on this list. The real Mega Buster is one of the most powerful weapons in this game, and is the only weapon on this list that is pretty much post-game content. In order to unlock this incredibly powerful reference to one of Capcom's most beloved franchises, you first need to get the Zombie Genocider trophy or achievement during one playthrough of your game, which can be pretty difficult if you don't have a game plan. Essentially, you'll need to kill 53,594 zombies in a single playthrough, the number being a reference to Frank's initial arrival in Willamette.
Here she is. Willamette, Colorado. Population 53,594. Distinguishing characteristics, jack shit.
As for the actual real Mega Buster itself, it's cool, powerful of course, but what I really find interesting about this weapon is that it kind of caps off the many Mega Man references with something that's very useful. I mean, this game has so many Mega Man references. From your watch saying Mega Man, the movie theater showing a Mega Man movie, the merchandise from said movie in the movie theater, you can even deck yourself out in a full Mega Man attire and pretend to be the Blue Bomber himself. It's just great to see Easter eggs taken this far to where you can get a weapon that's actually useful and ties into the references. So for those reasons, while it's not a weapon that I used a great amount, it's still one that I remember fondly from this game. And for that reason, it earns the 4th spot on this list. The hunting knife is easily the weapon that I've used the most in this game out of any of them. Not only is it fairly effective against the zombie masses, but it's also incredibly easy to find, being dropped by every Hawaiian shirt-wearing zombie that you happen to stumble across. These zombies are everywhere, which makes this weapon one of the most consistently decent weapons in this game, and has helped me out of more tight spots than any of the others that are on this list. That being said, it's far from the most powerful. I believe it's something like 1 to 2 slices for normal zombies and 2 to 3 for nighttime zombies, which is still good enough to carry in empty slots, but it's not going to see you through this game. Things like the mini chainsaws dropped by Adam or the machete dropped by Cliff are vastly more powerful, but you have to go so far out of your way to retrieve them every time that you break them, and if you're going for survivors or the storyline, you won't always have the time to do that. This little guy, on the other hand, is always something that you can pick up on your way to your next objective or on your way to pick up even better weapons. So, while I don't know that it would make many people's lists as to their top 5 weapons, for me, it's the most reliably decent weapon that you can find in this game, and for that reason, it earns the 3rd spot on this list. Hands down, the shotgun is my favorite firearm in this game. This thing is so effective at dealing with zombies and even psychopaths that it may be just after the hunting knife in terms of my most used weapons. The shotgun just clears lines of zombies with, in my opinion, the most satisfying headshot sound effect to come out of Willamette. As for getting your hands on one of these crazy powerful weapons, it's a bit more difficult than most of the others that are on this list, because its acquisition is initially tied to a psychopath encounter and, in my opinion, one of the most difficult. The psychopath Cletus guards the gun shop and is not shy of protecting what's his with the full force of his firepower. And since you won't yet have any of that firepower, it can be quite difficult to take him down. However, if you can manage to get the gun shop owner to relent, you'll find 3 shotguns lining the displays of the establishment ripe for the picking. This means that you can carry multiple and make them last for quite some time, unlike some of the other rewards from the psychos. Shotguns are kind of a zombie staple, and you'd expect them to be a pretty powerful weapon against the undead, no matter where they turn up. And Dead Rising's shotguns certainly didn't disappoint. So, for those reasons, the shotgun takes the number 2 spot on this list. There are 2 weapons in this game that I've always really enjoyed because of the animations that they perform. Those 2 weapons being the Katana and the Battle Axe, both of which can primarily be found at the antique shop in Entrance Plaza. However, of the 2, I'd have to say that I find the Katana to be slightly more useful in terms of dealing with mass amounts of zombies, because the attacks are a little faster. The Battle Axe has a bit more of an interesting ability in that you can wind it up, but it's not something that I ever really found that much use in. The Katana, on the other hand, is just so effective at slicing through zombies quickly. You can pick up as many of them as you can carry from the antique shop, and if you run out of those, you can even pick up another one from just below the cafeteria in Paradise Plaza. This weapon is essentially just a better version of the hunting knife that is a little bit more difficult to find, but can always be found if you know where to look. I remember when I first played through this game, I never went to the antique shop and found these 2 weapons. It wasn't until after quite a few playthroughs of going through and trying to save different survivors that I finally came across the old man that holds up in the antique shop, and I remember finding these items and just being amazed at how such a useful weapon had eluded me for so long. Their discovery is one of the things that I remember fondly about this game, and its weapon system of just finding all these different useful items all over the mall. It sort of encapsulates the idea of searching for better and better weapons where you wouldn't necessarily expect to find them. And for that reason, the Katana is my favorite weapon to come out of the first Dead Rising game. Anyways, those are my picks. What are yours? Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments down below. There are probably a lot of weapons in this game that I've never even given enough chance to make it onto this list, but these are the ones that I found to be the most memorable and useful for me. I'd also like to give a shout out to the hand-to-hand combat. I don't know if it counts as a weapon, but this little kick thing is a godsend and literally something that I use all the time. And restarting this game from level 1, I felt naked without it. Anyways, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.